Welcome to Community Forum. I'm Priscilla Almquist Olsen, your host for this very interesting program on the 160th anniversary of the organ at Holy Trinity Lutheran Church on Lincoln Street in North Easton. The celebration will take place on Sunday, November 3rd, and at what time?
3 p.m.
At 3 p.m. And there are going to be 5 organists there from all ages, wonderful talent, extraordinarily inspirational music will be played, and there will be a collation after the concert. So here to give us a little bit more background on that is Rita Corey, who is the organist at Holy Trinity Lutheran Church. And welcome, Rita.
Thank you.
And tell us a little bit about your background and how you got involved in the organ as an instrument.
My mother was an organist, and so we had a Hammond organ in our home, and she played in churches all the time I was growing up. So that probably got me very interested. We also had a piano. She was my piano teacher first, and then I studied with her organ teacher through high school. And I went to Wagner College, a Lutheran college, for my first year, and then transferred to the University of Rochester and took all my music courses at Easton. I started out as a math major in college, and then when I went to the university, I decided to switch from math to organ. And they had a wonderful organ department at Eastman, so I got a very good education there.
Terrific. So the Eastman School of Music, I thought it was only the Eastman School of Photography.
George Eastman started the Eastman School of Music, and just recently they finished completion of a building that he had intended to put on the site of Eastman School, so they're still honoring his legacy.
Terrific. So tell me, you came to Northeastern, to Holy Trinity Lutheran Church a few years ago, and you've been to many different churches, and you've had concerts, organ concerts and so forth. How long have you been a musician?
I guess since I was very young. When I graduated from college, I taught in a Lutheran school and a church connected with it in Queens, and then moved to Boston and have played in a number of churches in the area, Lutheran, Episcopal, Catholic, and those are my various places of work.
Well, and all 3 of those churches are liturgical.
Right.
And they use the Catholic Mass, which surprisingly enough, many Roman Catholics don't know until they come to our Lutheran church, and we have the same service or Mass that they have. And this happened recently at a funeral. So anyway, let's talk about the organ, this wonderful organ that we at the Lutheran Church were so fortunate to get some years back. Tell us about the organ and then the circumstances around our acquisition of it.
The organ was built by E. and G.G. Hook Company, 2 brothers who grew up in Salem and were sons of a very good cabinet maker in Salem, decided that they were interested in apprenticing with Mr. Goodrich, who established an organ building company in Boston. So they apprenticed with him when they were very young, in their late teens. And then they went back to Salem in 1827, and one of them built a chamber organ, which was for a merchant that was in his home, and the other built an organ for a small church. And they decided they liked that, and so they went and bought some property in Boston and started an organ company there in 1827. The organ company grew. First they would make 15 organs a year, then 30, and they had several locations in Boston. The most recent one was at Roxbury Crossing, and they really were wonderful craftsmen. They hired people from all the necessary trades to help them produce a beautiful instrument. They were the wonderful company in the 1800s, and they started building larger instruments. Our instrument came from a church, a Lutheran church on West Newton Street in Boston. It had previously been in a Unitarian church on the same street. And those two locations were in the 1800s, the 1860s, 1890s. The church closed, the Lutheran church closed in, I think, the 70s, 1970s, and so Andover Organ Company took the instrument from the church and stored it for a few years. And then Holy Trinity came along and contacted them and said, we would like a beautiful instrument for our church. The balcony of the church was enlarged, and the church raised the money necessary to have it refurbished and restored, and it was installed in 1982, in November. Our instrument was built in 1859, and it was Opus 254. So it was after the company had been established for quite some time. It's a beautiful instrument. It's a 3-manual, which means it has 3 keyboards and pedal. It has a flat pedal board, which today they don't build anymore. They build a concave one. It's also a little bit shorter than the modern one, as well as the keyboards, which only go up to a G rather than a high C. The organ company was joined. They also would apprentice people, as they had learned the trade as an apprentice. And they apprenticed a man named Mr. Hutchings when he was also very young. And later he became part of the firm and then took it over, and the whole company was called Hook and Hastings. And in the 1880s it was moved to Weston because there was a train line there, and because Mr. Hutchings had grown up there and there was farmland there where he could build a big factory. There aren't too many more existing instruments that are 3-manual, but one was moved actually to Berlin some time back. And there are several in Jamaica Plain and this area, but it's becoming a rarity.
So, and we're going to hear the beautiful sounds that this instrument makes on Sunday, November 3rd at 3 o'clock at a concert. And you have, I understand, 5 organists who will be participating?
Right. I invited 5 organists, and they come from the Boston area. Philip Jones plays at Trinity Church in Stoughton. Pastor Jeff Johnson is the pastor at First Lutheran in Brockton, but he is also, before he became a pastor, he was a recitalist and organist at many churches. Let's see, then I have invited Kevin Lysak. He plays at St. Mary's in Holliston. Brian Edwards plays at St. Cyprian's in Roxbury. And Kevin Neal is the organist at Emmanuel Episcopal Church on Newbury Street in Boston. And they all bring a very diverse program of pieces that people will really enjoy. There'll be some shorter pieces and some things you've probably heard before, and some new things.
Well, it sounds like a wonderful opportunity to experience what I, as a member of that church, experience every Sunday with your wonderful craftsmanship that you have, or your musicianship, shall I say. And we appreciate your coming today and letting us know about this wonderful opportunity. So 5 organists having in one recital, that's quite an unusual event. So, and the diversity will be extraordinarily interesting as well as enjoyable. I think it'll be an inspiring event. So please come this Sunday, November 3rd, 3 p.m. at Holy Trinity Lutheran Church at 143 Lincoln Street in North Easton. So thank you, Rita.
You're welcome. Thank you for interviewing me.
You're very welcome. And that's it for today, Community Forum. 2019. Hope you've enjoyed this presentation and hope that you'll take advantage of this wonderful opportunity to be present on Sunday at the concert at Holy Trinity Lutheran Church. Thank you so much for watching. Be well.